Okay, Eloise and Spa, over to you two to take us through the Ansys Discovery webinar. Thanks a lot. Eloise?
Hello, everyone. Eloise is just trying to get her mic sorted.
Right, okay.
It shouldn't take too long.
No, that's fine. No problem.
So, hello, can anybody hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Sorry, technical difficulties as always.
That's fine. Okay, so Eloise, thanks again. And you can start with the initial introduction overview, and then we hand over to Spa to cover the rest. Thank you very much.
Okay, so hello everyone. Yes, so I'll be quickly taking you guys through a bit of an introduction for Ansys Discovery. So today we'll be focusing more on the geometry prep side of things rather than the simulation, hoping that in the future we'll do another webinar for you guys covering more of the simulation side. So Discovery was first released in 2018, but it has only more recently become the primary geometry application to create, import, prepare geometry for our simulations. Discovery allows users to create, modify, and clean up geometry, much like SpaceClaim, but with a more progressive user interface and more powerful editing tools. From the end of 2023, SpaceClaim has entered the maintenance mode, so it will continue to be released, but it will only have any critical bug fixes. All development, new development, I should say, and enhancements will take place in Discovery. So Discovery is accessed much like SpaceClaim, either as a standalone application with its own licenses and installers, but also it's also bundled with certain of our flagship licenses and installers, like Mechanical Enterprise or CFD Enterprise. So mentioned before, you could either get Discovery modeling only for the modeling geometry prep, or you can get it as a dual, so to do your geometry prep and then go into the live physics simulation that Discovery does offer, but today we'll only be covering the geometry prep side. So launching Discovery, much like SpaceClaim, as mentioned, you can go and launch that straight from Windows as a standalone, or it can be launched within Workbench. Currently, it is set as our default, or from now on, I should say, it's set as our default geometry tool, but you can still go and change the options, although we would strongly recommend that you guys stick to Discovery and get to know it. Okay, so upon startup, this is what you'll see. This is the home page, and you can also access this from the file menu if you're already in Discovery. This is the first place when you can import any CAD files. You can also access recent files that you've already worked on, and you can access any of the learning content here. So the learning content I'm referring to is a few built-in tutorials and workshops to help you get to know the application and the software. So Discovery is also introducing something new, the concept of stages. So these stages are to ensure that only tools relevant to your objective are available. So when creating and preparing geometry for simulation, you would like to be in the model stage, so you won't be able to see any of the simulation tools and options, and it won't be too cluttered in your interface. So settings, so this is much like the options you would have known or seen in SpaceClaim. So this is to customize Discovery to your specific needs and preferences. Different to SpaceClaim though, any changes made in Discovery settings will be saved immediately and automatically applied to your application. So there's no need to close it and reopen for those settings to take effect. So in our settings, you also have the option to change the default color scheme if desired default will now be set to dark. The idea is that all Ansys products will adopt this color scheme, so it's more cohesive when working across all our different software applications. So Discovery can launch directly into any of the 3 stages. I believe the default is Explore, but if you're going to use Discovery mainly to do your geometry prep, you can go and change that to Model. The units can also be changed here for new documents. There's also the option to temporarily only change it for the project that you are working in, and that is found in the Quick Measurement Settings panel. There's also different file options. So when you want to import or export files, there's different settings for your different file formats and types as well. So getting to know the user interface. This is ultimately the biggest change that was made from SpaceClaim going into Discovery. For now, everything is relatively the same with a few updates, but the biggest change is getting to know the software and where your different tools will be. So looking at the user face of Discovery, you'll see that the model tree is still situated in the top left corner. This is where you'll see your different bodies. You'll also see your material types and your physics, as you would have seen it in SpaceClaim. So in the bottom left corner, we find the view arc, and in the top right corner, the saved scenes. So this is to go and look at the enhanced views and rendering controls. So between the 2 tools, you can go and snap to specified views or your standard views. You can also use the view arc at the bottom to go and change your transparency of some of your components or your entire model. In the bottom, in the middle, we can find the stage selector. So as previously discussed, it helps us streamline the tools available to us in the specific stage. And then in the middle, we find our heads-up display. So the heads-up display, also called the HUD, that's what that stands for, starts as a little hex block, which then if you hover over it, expands and exposes a halo of common tools. So these common tools can also be accessed as you would have used it previously in the ribbon or any of the shortcuts like F for fill or M for move, for example. But when you do click on one of the tools, the heads-up display expands on both sides. So on your left-hand side, you will find the tool guides. So these guide you through the steps of the tool and allow you for selection or alternative references to guide the tool's behavior. And then on the right-hand side, the tool options will then expand, and these typically change the behavior or the result of a tool based on the specific selection. The heads-up display naturally moves with your selection unless you click and drag it to reposition it out of the way, for example. You can also go and change how close it is to your selection or where it is in your view in your settings. Then very familiar to SpaceClaim users is the ribbon at the top. The layout was kept quite similar so that as to not confuse us too much, but it still contains all your tools organized into categories to help with workflow. Then at the bottom, we have our tools like groups, named selections, and power select. These are activated once you have selected one of the for example, a surface or a line or even a body. So you can go and click on the bottom there. Then going into modeling. So it's important to remember, much like SpaceClaim, that Discovery is still a direct modeler, whereas other software uses a feature-based modeling. We work directly with our part or our geometry, and we change it. So there's never a reference, like a reference drawing to go back and change. So that still stays exactly the same. So parameters or creating a parameter looks a bit different. The symbol for parameters has changed, but it's still, whenever you use the pull or move tool, something you would have gone and parameterized, it is still available there. Then, yeah, so you also now have the geometric parameter tool. This replaces the measure, mass properties, and the dimension tools. Then instead of block recording, as we would have known it in SpaceClaim, we now have something called history tracking, much the same, but a little bit different, a little bit more enhanced. This is used to go and record and edit and parameterize and replay anything. So you can go and select an order you would like stuff to happen in, parameterize, change values, and it rebuilds your model with those changed values. You can also use this to connect bidirectionally to CAD software to import and update parameters. So for example, if you're using something like Mechanical to then go and do your simulation, this will pull directly into Mechanical for you. Yeah, this is also, as mentioned, with a block recording, it creates a history-driven parametric models for you. Then share topology, still much the same with a few enhancements. There's now the option to go and review. So to clearly visually see which objects are shared and which are unshared, which is nice. This can act as a pre-check for you to just double check everything before just selecting the share all option. There. Then you can use Discovery to directly transfer into Workbench, Mechanical or Fluent. There is a direct button for that, located in the ribbon at the top when in the model phase or model stage, sorry. Then I thought it helpful to just give a few more places to go and look. So the first place you can go and look for help is in the Discovery application itself. There are built-in interactive tours, which could be accessed from the home page. It's an overlay help, so it kind of overlays on top of what you already see in Discovery to make it easier for you to then in future use Discovery by yourself. Yeah, it also gives you integrated step-by-step instructions and tutorials so that you can get familiar before attempting to go on yourself. Then also the Ansys Learning Hub. This is a subscription-based or annual subscription-based package or helping tool, I suppose. It grants you access to over 300 self-paced learning courses all across Ansys. So unfortunately, not all 300 is for Discovery, but there is quite a bunch. Then there is virtual classes and continuous learning support also available if you are subscribed to the Ansys Learning Hub. So this does come with additional charges, but then the next option, which is the Ansys Innovation Space, is completely free and it contains an abundance of resources, a bunch of stuff like short courses. Currently, there's more than 20 courses just for Discovery, where I would say about half of them are specifically for geometry prep. There's tutorials which you can then go and follow as well if you don't want to use the interactive tours in Discovery itself. So this would be a bit more complex. This could maybe be a second option. It also gives you any updates that would have happened in between the different versions, sorry. And there's also a Discovery specific forum. If you have any questions or you're looking for help on a specific topic, you can always go and look there. And then, of course, we're also there and we would love to help you guys with any of your support queries. Just send an email to support@Giffensoft and we can help you guys. And that is all from my side for now.
Thanks a lot, Eloise. Is there any questions from the audience for Eloise at this stage, or you want to ask questions at the end? I assume that's towards the end. Thanks a lot, Eloise. It was a very good introduction and an overview and a good place to start our webinar series on. So if we move forward, then Spa's going to take us through a bit of a more in-depth use within the interface. So thanks for that, Spa. You can go ahead.
Yeah, hello everyone. I'll just be quickly doing a few demos just to show the geometry prep tools. And then for the first one we'll be doing, we've launched Discovery here directly from the Start tab. And then we'll be doing a quick geometry prep for an air intake. Okay, so you can click there on File. You go to your browse to go find your the file that you would like to use. The one that I currently have is in desktop, and then you can import it as any of the supported file types that show here. Right here, I have a step file that I open now. And then you just wait for it to load. When you open Discovery in your options, as Louise mentioned earlier, it can open in various stages. Usually for your geometry prep, you'd want it to have it in model. So if you're mainly using the software for this case, you would go here into your settings, and then in your general default there, you'd have it set to model. Okay. Right, here we have an air intake that we would like to extract the volume for so we can do a CFD analysis for it. So we would go ahead into here in the prepare tools, and then we can see the volume extract tool here. Right, the first step is to select your intake and your outlet. And then if you go here, you can select the seed face. Right, and now there's a preview here on the right side where you'll see the volume that'll be extracted. And then firstly, we see here that we do have an issue because the outside surface is not supposed to be colored. There's a preview slide here that we can slide backwards and then see where we might have leakages in the model that we're using. And as we're going here, we're seeing that the fluid is staying inside until the end. And then there at the start, we can see it start leaking out of here. So then for that, we can use our geometry prep tools. We can go there and use our fill and close that hole. This tool can be accessed through pressing F on your keyboard, or that's the shortcut. And then if you are in design, it's also available there. And also, if you are planning on using it, it's also available if you click here on the hex, and then there will appear a halo, and in the halo, your various tools will be there. Right, and then the next step, we have kind of this edge here that we don't really need. So we can double click the edge and then press F again, and that the fill tool will take care of that. And now we can go back to trying to extract our volume again. So we go here, volume extract, we click our inlet, our outlet, and then we click here to get our seed face, and then we preview real quick. And now we can see that we still have an issue. We're not getting the whole volume yet. That is caused because if we go here and we triple click here and we make this transparent, we can see that there is a pink filter in there. So the volume that's being extracted is being blocked by that. So what we can do is we can quickly come here and then we can hide the filter and then just reattempt to extract our volume again. Inlet, exit, and then seed face. And quick preview. All right, now we see we have our volume that is closed within our geometry, and now we can capture that volume. Okay. Right, now that we have our volume, the next step would be to prepare that volume so that we can mesh it properly. So the first thing we'd want to do is get that volume, and then we'd hide the others. And then we see here we have some little features that might cause some meshing issues. So what we can do is we can right click this face, go to view, plan view. This can also be accessed down here by clicking the view here, and then your plan view is right there. Right, if we box select from left to right, that'll capture all the geometry that is within that box. And then from right to left, it'll capture everything that's inside the box. So we want this little piece here. We can go there, capture that, and then again, we can use our fill tool to get rid of that. Right, and in some geometries, you might be having these little issues that you won't be able to see easily. And then for that, we can use our detect and then look for any kind of bad geometries that can happen. So for this case, we want to look for sharp edges and then automatically find matches. And then we see our other ones here, and then there's a few more down there. right? So we can go ahead and go back to our plan view and remove this one. And then fill it. And then if we look up here, we see we also had an issue that occurred due to the geometry that we extracted. To view what kind of happened there, we can just go back to show all. And then if you hold your control and scroll, we can select the axis here. And then if we press X, we can go into our sketch mode. And then we can kind of get a better view of what's happening there. We can see that that's forming because of the geometry was kind of misaligned there. Right now, our geometry prep tools can be used in our section mode. So we'll try to move this space to close this area. We'll go to press M to move, or you can go to design or the halo, and then we'll click that face, and then you can use U for up to, or you can come and click it here. And then we want to move it up to this space here. Right now we have that closed. Now our our volume is still kind of mixing with the solids here. So what we want to do is kind of fix that. There is a quick fix. We can come here to our volume that we've extracted, click on volume, and then we can update it from the source geometry. We go here to volume update, and then we update it as created, and we see that little face there has now kind of shrunk. Now we still have a little edge that's showing there. The next thing we can do is we can use our other prep tools. We can click there, and then we can fill that round. Okay, and now we can just go back to update, and then that'll fix our extracted volume. Okay. Right, now we have our extracted volume the way that we wanted. The next thing you would want to do is you'd want to split this volume up into your different regions for your simulation. And the best place to do that would be while you're doing your geometry prep. So the next thing we can do is we can click D to go back to 3D mode. And then we can quickly just hide everything. And then show our volume, and then the regions that we'd like to split it in. Okay. I see these came back for some reason. We can just box select them again. View, plan view. So that's too much. Here, fill them. And then fill them. All right, so the next thing is splitting up our geometry. So what we can do is we can turn on this filter again, and then we can go to our design tab, and we can use the combine tool to split this volume that we've extracted into 3 separate regions. So we'll go and click on the whole thing, and then we will click our filter, and now we have 3 separate regions that we can go and name and assign. The other issue that we might have here, we see we have these little rounds that are not too important for our simulation, but we would like to get rid of them. So we can click on a round here, and then we can go to our power select tool, which will find the rest of them for us. So we're looking for rounds of 0.5. And then after it's captured them, we can click our tool here, and then we'll get rid of them. Yeah. Now our geometry is cleaner than before. Now what we can do is start assigning where we're going to apply boundary conditions and the separate fluid region. So we'll go here to groups, selections, and then here we will have our inlet. And then we can go here to the back, click there, selection, rename that. We have our outlet. And then we can start naming our different fluid regions. So for this one, we can triple click that there, and then new selection, we'll call that our fluid 1. And then we can go and grab this region, which is our filter, and we can assign that to be our porous region. And then we can go here to the bottom and assign our fluid 2. All right, and then the next thing we have to keep in mind is if we would like to interact with these pieces now, if we would apply a tool to them like pull, and we wanted to extend our inlet, we would see that our volume would end up merging together. Now, what we can do to prevent that from happening is we can go here to our tool options. We can turn the no merge on, and now when you pull this face, that doesn't happen. Or another better practice would be to come and box select all of this, and then first name your regions. And then what we can do is we can double click to exit our pull tool, grab all of these, then right click here on the right side, and we can right click on the screen on the graphical interface here, go to component, and we can move each of them to a new component. And now when we apply any kind of tools to them like the pull, they won't merge anymore. So that they're separate entities now. Right, so now the next thing that we'd like to do is, after we've prepared our geometry and we've handled all the little edges and we've separated and defined our boundaries, we'd like to share topology so we would have conformal mesh throughout the whole volume body. So we can come here to prepare, and we can see our share tool here. We can click on share. Okay, and then we can run it there. So after it's run, we can go here to the review tool, and it will show us where our edges that are shared. And if you click here, it shows the faces that are shared between the two geometries. All right, and now that our geometry is ready, we can come here and then choose a workflow that we'd like to take it to in Fluent, and then choose a name to save for it. And then save. And then after that, after it's saved, it should start launching Fluent, where you can start defining, doing your mesh, and then running the simulation after you've applied your boundary conditions. Okay. There is one more demo that I'd like to do for structural, so we can start Discovery and open it here. The next demo is just to show what the preparing tools can do for you in the interface. Okay, so we have the same launching screen. You go here to File, Open, and then Browse. Oh, my internet's now. Oh, okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. Had a little internet issue. Right, so here we have this geometry that we'd like to show some of the tools on. And then first we see here, we have some rounds that we don't want. We can double click the edge, and it'll capture all the connected rounds to it. Click there, we can fill. That's what the full tool can do for us. And then we can kind of take care of all those little rounds. Right, now, the next thing we can do is we can go into a cross section here. Quickly hide the bolts. Click your axis, and then you can press X to enter your section mode. And then we can see here that our holes are kind of misaligned. So what we can do is we can use the move tool. We click this here, and then we can anchor it to this edge, and then we can pull it to align that hole. And then we have that hole fixed there. We can press D and go back to the 3D mode if we hide this bolt. And then if you want to quickly go back to your section mode, you can right click and then use last sketch plane. And we can see here that we don't have a hole. So what we can do is we can come back here, we can click this hole, we can move it, and then holding control and moving it at the same time will create a duplicate of that hole. And then we can quickly anchor it here, and then we can use the up to, pressing U or using it here in the X, and then pull it up to there. And then we can press D to go back to our full mode again, and then show all. And now if we look on the other side, we see that we are missing a bolt there. We can apply the same technique again. Control, wrong side, control, move, and then we can come to this side and then select the axis there. First, we use the up to, or triple click it there, go to our move, and then we can press up to, and then there our axis, and it moves there. And then while we were moving it there, we saw that there's kind of not a hole there. Hide. We can enter section mode here, pressing X. Oh, no, that is complete. Right, then we can go back to show all, and then press D to go back to our 3D mode. And now we fix that part. The next tool that we'd like to show is the fill tool. We can see here we have some writing on the model that we don't really need. So we can quickly do a box select from right to left. The other useful thing is we can go to plan view, and then we can kind of rotate our geometry using the view arc here on the left. And now it's easier to box select the writing here. Once we've captured most of it, and press F, and then that will get rid of all the writing. Right. And then the next thing we can do is we can use fill with the power select just to capture. We have all these little holes here that we don't like. So we can come here, capture the holes. We can come here where our power selectors, and then quickly searches throughout the whole body. And then we look for all cylinders. And then, well, if you're here and you press your Z, which is your global zoom, it'll show you where all the holes are of that size in the model. And then we can get rid of them by pressing the full, and then they're gone. And then the other geometry prep tool we haven't talked about is pull yet. So if we have like misaligned edges like this, we can come here, we can press P or design and go to pull, or use our hex. And then we can use our up to and then pull it up there to just align that. And then lastly is just quickly the combine tool, which we can use to combine two objects together. We can come here to combine, we click our target object, and then it's either a cutter or it adds together. So if it's by default, it's in the cut mode, but if you can come here to change the mode that it's in, or you can hold control and then click whatever you want to merge it with. Right. And then another thing about the move tool is that we can kind of use it to move entities that we've created on objects like that. And then also, while we're in the move tool, there is an option to there is an option to create new edges. Come here, and then you go to create patterns. Oh, sorry, I think it's in the pool tool. Yeah, so while you're in the pool tool, you can create new edges by saying copying edges, and then you can copy them in either direction, or you first choose a direction, and then you can just start pulling your edge there, which will make surfaces for you that you can use for various reasons. I think that's it for this demo. So thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Spa. I think it was very informative, and thanks for showing us all the different ways that it can be used. Yes, I can see there's a few hand claps and comments coming. So thanks a lot to yourself, Eloise, and to Spa. Really appreciate it. Is there questions from the audience at this stage? Anything that you want to ask? You have them online now. Anything with regards to SpaceClaim, geometry, prepping, any questions that you have? Just checking if there's anything in the chat. Nope. So I guess in that case, oh yes, great, there's a question.
Can I maybe ask about the backward compatibility of a discovery file and a SpaceClaim file format, whether they can get imported in each other, or like obviously you can pull in old SpaceClaim files, I guess, into discovery mode. Is the reverse also true?
Yes, the reverse is true. So for now they are both compatible with each other. So there should be no problems transferring. Although we're starting to see a distinction between the two different file types. But for the foreseeable future, it shouldn't be a problem to work in either or in both backwards and forwards.
Okay, thanks.
The only thing that you do lose is if you ran any kind of simulations in the discovery mode. When you're saving it, when you're importing it, it says that you're using those simulations that you ran on it within discovery.
Okay.
Okay, I think that answered the question. Thanks, Eloise and Spot, both of you. Any other questions? I think you were so thorough, and the demo explained everything by itself as well. So thanks a lot then for everybody for attending, for giving us your time and your attention. And I will then stop the recording and just